There's a good chance you're dealing with a middleman, like me, when you get your medicines. That's because PBMs and insurers are often the same company. We even own big chain pharmacies and are buying your doctor's office. We decide what medicines you can get, where you get them, and how much you pay. It's a win-win. For me.
When middlemen own it all, you lose. Visit phrma.org/middlemen to learn more. Paid for by Pharma.
When you have high standards and fancy all the fancy things, like a Dior saddlebag or that diamond tennis bracelet, you go to eBay. There, you'll find new loves that will never disappoint. Expertly authenticated. Whether it's that vintage pearl necklace or brand new ruby earrings, a Prada crossbody bag, or classic watches like that Rolex Oyster or that Cartier tank. On eBay, there are no limits to your high standards. Yeah, eBay. The place for new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion. eBay. Things people love.
It's a Minimalist Monday edition of Optimal Finance Daily. The Zero Cost Lifestyle by Tynan of Tynan.com. Several years ago, I was sitting with a bunch of friends at a restaurant. Dinner was winding down and we were all stuffed. My friend next to me asked me how I made so much money. I always had money for everything, she said, and she was always struggling. The bill came and everyone went down the list, adding up their stuff. Before tax and tip, mine was around $7. Hers was $30, more than 4 times what mine was. She had 2 margaritas, an entree which she didn't finish, and an appetizer. I had 3 burritos a la carte, chips that were free, and water. I used to get the burrito plate, but then I realized that for less money, I could get 3 burritos instead of 2 and not have the extra rice and salad that I didn't want. That's why I always have money. I don't spend it stupidly. For those who don't want to listen to this whole post, here's the short version. Figure out what you really want to do, and then figure out the absolute cheapest way to do it. Be creative, think outside the box. That doesn't mean to compromise on what you want to do, by the way. I'm not saying that. I mean to figure out what you really want and go after that, not the packaged, this is the good life you see on TV. I like the idea of a zero-cost lifestyle. You save money up front to set yourself up, and then you make enough residual income that your lifestyle is never threatened no matter what. Here are my monthly costs for when I'm in Austin. Rent, $0. I've got an RV. Electricity, $0. I've got solar power. Gas, $150. Insurance, $50. Food, $750. It's important for me to eat well. Entertainment, $50. I mainly do free things with my friends and find adventure. Cryonics, $50 to Alcor and life insurance. And water and waste, $20, dumping and filling up at the local RV park. That's about all I can think of. Added up, that's $1,070 per month. I eat perfect food that I love, live in the exact spot that I want to live, and spend my free time doing what I want to do. And I'm taking care of myself so that I'm healthy and I will be frozen when I die. That's not to say that I don't do a lot more than that, like travel all the time, but these are my base costs to be happy and comfortable. If I was making $500,000 a year, I wouldn't change much. I'd still be in the RV and I'd still be eating in the same restaurant every day. I'd spend more money on crazy adventures, but I'm not exactly lacking those now. I make money in a bunch of different ways. A few hundred for writing for Gadling, another couple hundred for ads on this site, a little bit more for affiliate links, and maybe 1,000 or so for my book. Let's say I make $1,800 total. That's not a lot of money. In fact, I think that's below the poverty line, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that everyone hearing this has the capacity to make that much money, and almost all of you probably make more than that now. But that covers my base expenses comfortably, and it's built into my lifestyle. I'm going to write whether I get paid for it or not. My book is all automated at this point. So you could say that the net cost of my base lifestyle is nothing. That means I can spend nearly 100% of my time doing whatever I want. I can work on other businesses to make more than a paltry $1,800. I can take a month off and sit by the creek if I want. And look what happens when I travel. I don't pay the $150 for gas or the $20 for water. I make $700 more than I need for my base expenses. That means I have $970 for airfare and renting an apartment or staying with a friend for part or all of the time. And I already have $750 for food once I get there and $50 for museum tickets or whatever. I don't actually keep track of my budget like this. I've saved up money, so if I'm off a little bit in either direction, it doesn't matter. And I'm disciplined enough to not blow money on stupid things. Getting here wasn't free either, and I realized that. I had to spend around 20 grand to get the RV I really wanted and get it wired up with solar. But still, there are much cheaper RVs to be had that would be totally serviceable. I had the money to spare and knew that the one I bought would retain its value well. And of course, an RV isn't the only way to work all this out. It's just the one that appealed to me, so I figured out the right way to do it. I had to come up with many ways to make my life generate income. I chose or drifted towards writing and such, but there are a billion other ways to do it. The real appeal of a zero-cost lifestyle is that it's incredibly liberating. You get your time back. You don't have to worry about getting fired or rent rates going up. Sure, my book sales could dry up or something like that, but in worst case emergency mode, I just cook for myself and spend $600 less per month. If you aren't ready or interested in going hog wild like me, there are a lot of intermediate steps you can make to move in this direction. Here are a few ideas. Number 1, get rid of your TV and cable. You don't need it. It adds nothing to your life. If there's something you really need to see, then go see it at your friend's house and be social. That's a couple $100 for selling your TV and $80 less a month or whatever for cable. Number 2, start writing about things you're an expert in. This will develop your writing skills and start building up a body of work that you could use for a book in the future. If you're a good writer, start writing for a blog you like. Number 3, go through your credit card bill and see what other monthly charges you can get rid of or reduce. $40 a month seems like nothing, but it's $480 per year. Ask yourself, would I pay $480 now to have this for a year? Number 4, if you own a house, rent out part of it. If you rent, check Craigslist every week to see if you can find a better place for cheaper. Rent is probably your biggest expense, and you spend it even when you travel. Number 5, think about ways to make your hobby your job. My work doesn't feel like work because I like doing it. 10 hours of work you like is better than 1 you don't like. Number 6, stop renting and start house sitting. And number 7, sell everything you don't need. Stuff takes up mental energy, time, and money to store. It also ties you to one place. You just listened to the post titled The Zero Cost Lifestyle by Tynan of Tynan.com. Imagine you're a business owner who has to rely on a dozen different software programs to run your company, none of which are connected, and each one is more expensive and more complicated than the last. It can be pretty stressful. Now imagine Odoo. Odoo has all the programs you'll ever need, and they're all connected in one simple, easy-to-use platform, giving you peace of mind that your business is always being taken care of from every angle. Odoo has user-friendly open-source applications for everything. We're talking CRM, accounting, inventory, manufacturing, marketing, HR, and everything in between. Basically, if your business needs it, Odoo's got it. Odoo sounds pretty amazing, right? So stop wasting your time and money on those expensive, disconnected platforms and let Odoo harmonize your business with simple, efficient software that can handle everything for a fraction of the price. It doesn't get much better than that. So what are you waiting for? Discover how Odoo can take your business to the next level by visiting odoo.com. That's ODOO.com. Odoo, modern management made simple. When I started my conference, it felt like diving into the deep end. Each day brought new challenges, design, sales, marketing, and I was drowning in decisions. Finding the right tools became my lifeline. For millions of entrepreneurs, that essential tool is Shopify. Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide and handles 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Launch confidently using hundreds of templates that create a beautiful online store matching your brand. Create content effortlessly with Shopify's AI tools that write compelling descriptions, craft headlines, and enhance photography. And market like a pro without a team. Plus, Shopify's experience covers everything: inventory, shipping, returns, and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/OFD. Go to shopify.com/OFD. Shopify.com/OFD. Tynan states that the crux of this article is, quote, figure out what you really want to do and then figure out the absolute cheapest way to do it, end quote. Here's what I'd add to that. Figure out the absolute cheapest way to do it and make it more fun. While frugality is often seen in a negative light, I do think there's a lot of satisfaction that can come with being creative and resourceful with getting your needs met. And when you realize that your new, cheaper way of doing something comes with a superior result, your satisfaction compounds. So for example, I've never really liked shopping for clothing, but it's a necessary thing that needs to be done. I used to spend more money than I would have liked just to get it over with. I didn't have patience to look around for the best, most cost-efficient options. Then I had an epiphany. I'm surrounded by fashionable friends with full closets of clothes they don't wear. So I started hosting clothing exchanges. My friends would clear out their closets and come to my place for an afternoon of mimosas, music, and trying on each other's clothes. It was way more fun and cheaper than shopping, and I've always ended up with nicer, more fashionable clothes than I would have purchased on my own. This is just one example of getting a need met in a resourceful, creative way. And the point is not to encourage you to do clothing exchanges. The point is to encourage you to think outside the box. We all have different circumstances, preferences, and skills that we can leverage in different ways to get our needs met. The key is to get creative with it. That's a wrap for another Monday show. Have a great rest of your day and start to your week. And I'll be back tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.